Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
A new acting Chief Justice and Court of Appeal President are sworn in at Government House.
After a recent trip, the Minister of Health excited about rolling out finalized plans for NHI. A little Christmas joy spread here at the Children's Emergency Hostel.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, a new Court of Appeal President and the acting Chief Justice sworn in during a brief ceremony at Government House this morning. Former Chief Justice Sir Hartman Longley is now the new Court of Appeal President, while former Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs has been named the acting Chief Justice. Jasmine Brown tells us more.
The men were sworn in during a very brief ceremony this morning. Afterwards, they told the press that there is a need for more efficiency in the judicial system. Following the 7-minute-long ceremony, Sir Hartman, who is taking over from Dame Anita Allen, told the press that running an efficient system is at the top of his agenda.
I'm extremely grateful to the Bahamian people, the government of Bahamas, for vesting the confidence in me at this stage in my career to lead one of the most important institutions of this country, the Court of Appeal of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. And so I truly feel proud to be able to lead a very able-bodied of men and women who were responsible for dispensing justice.
As it relates to the Court of Appeal's backlog, he says he plans on hitting the ground running.
One of the issues that we constantly face in this jurisdiction is the timely disposition of justice, ensuring that cases are heard on a timely basis, judgments are delivered on a timely basis, and that cuts across the board. And so one of the first duties I would have is to ensure that we do all that we can to expedite the hearing of cases, because by the time you get to the appellate process, your case has already been, generally speaking, in the system for some time.
With Sir Hartman taking on the new post, Isaacs is replacing him. He was sworn in as the acting Chief Justice. This is the 8th time Isaacs is sitting in as acting Chief Justice, and this time he says he will fill the post until he's given further orders.
Normally I would be sworn in if the sitting Chief Justice is out of the country. But this time I'm holding the seat until further orders. But I'm quite humbled that the Prime Minister and indeed the Leader of the Opposition reposed the confidence in me to make the appointment. And it is my intention to uphold the office as best I could.
Just like in the Court of Appeal, backlog is a perennial issue in the Supreme Court. Pointing to the legal maxim that justice delayed is justice denied, Isaacs said he will continue working to reduce the backlog in criminal cases.
Well, I would like to achieve what we started under Sir Hartman, that is to get the judicial system to a point where persons who have issues can come in, get their issues resolved fairly quickly, and get their judgments delivered. Of course, you've heard the expression, justice delayed is justice denied. That is a real concept. If you could imagine a business person has a conflict with another business person, so they come to a court. By the time they get the judgments, the business may have closed because they couldn't get the disputes resolved. So that is a driving force.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The long-awaited sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort is one step closer to completion. News broke this afternoon revealing that the hotel's owners have signed a letter of intent with Paul Wynn, a Canadian real estate mogul. A press release sent out by the government says they will now enter the approval stage and enter formal discussions with Paul Wynn on a heads of agreement. The process is expected to be completed in less than 2 months. The Wynn Group is no stranger to negotiations surrounding the hotel. Back in April, the former administration announced that they had signed a letter of intent to purchase the resort. They eventually withdrew from that deal in August. Another significant development for the property came just this July when Dr. Hubert Minnis announced government's intention to purchase the resort, saying that renovations would begin shortly. The Grand Lucayan and its 3 hotels closed in late 2016 following extensive hurricane damage. In other news, yesterday the United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to reject U.S. President Donald Trump's unilateral recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. One country that decided to abstain, the Bahamas. It's a decision Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield feels was the right one.
We form the third border, but we're the gatekeepers of the third border of the United States of America. It's a country with whom we have deep historical roots and ties.
The vote came during a special call meeting to look at the resolution on a declaration sponsored by countries Yemen and Turkey to condemn the U.S. It came as Trump sought to have Jerusalem recognized as Israel's capital and the U.S. embassy placed in the city. 128 members voted in favor of the resolution, supporting the long-standing international consensus that the status of Jerusalem, which is claimed as a capital by both Israel and the Palestinians, can only be settled as an agreed final issue in a peace deal.
America is a very strong ally and strategic partner to the North. And we also appreciate that a sovereign country has the right to put its embassy or mission anywhere in the world that it wishes, as long as the receiving state is willing to accept it.
Before the overwhelming vote, the U.S. ambassador to the UN made clear statements that Washington would remember which countries disrespected America by voting against it. It's been perceived as a threat by many around the world, but not Henfield.
I listened to Ambassador Haley on the floor of the General Assembly yesterday. Most of her comments, in my opinion, were directed toward the American support of the United Nations. Of course, if you are partners and neighbors and friends, you expect your friends to support you when you move motions on the floor of the UN General Assembly.
However, in the end, only 8 other countries supported the U.S. in this move compared to the 128. The Bahamas, an ally of the U.S., didn't choose a side and joined other countries like Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, Jamaica, and Australia, which abstained.
Well, an abstention is neither support nor against. We thought it was in the national interest of our country. It relates to how we perceive foreign policy to abstain in this instance.
Well, after commenting that Bahamians would have to wait and see concerning unanswered questions surrounding NHI, the Minister of Health today confirmed that he has found a model to fashion NHI after. According to Sands, the proposed idea could be to use NIB contributions to fund NHI. Giorgio Bain tells us more.
After missing a self-imposed deadline for the end of 2017, the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, is expecting to have finalized plans for national health insurance by the 3rd week in January. After a trip to Uruguay for a medical conference, the Minister of Health believes he has found the model he can fashion the country's national health insurance plan after. According to Sands, Uruguay's model provides primary to catastrophic health care to a population of about 3.8 million people.
They have done some phenomenal things to provide, in particular, not only primary health care services, but catastrophic services. They have about 3.8 million people, and they've been able to show how they can provide state-of-the-art catastrophic services, open heart surgery, transplantation, advanced chemotherapy, for a total of about $250 million for that population. Now think about it, we're about 10% the size of Uruguay.
Sands says Uruguay has found a way to balance the contributory plan in addition to a social security system. Each resident pays about $8 to $10. According to Sands, the proposed idea could be to use NIB contributions to fund NHI.
The next step now is for the National Health Insurance Board to put together a concrete proposal. It'll come to the Ministry of Health. We will then prepare a position paper to present to the people of the Bahamas and to the Cabinet of the Bahamas for consideration. And then if it's agreed, then we go to the next step and roll out the benefits. In the meantime, there are some other things that we are going to do with the existing budget for national health insurance. We would have committed a total of $40 million in this budget year, some of it to go to primary care, some to the management of NHI, and some to catastrophic care. And so we will be rolling out some catastrophic health care benefits in the new year.
Now, while Sands admitted that his December deadline to have NHI fully rolled out will not happen, he said he is hoping to have something concrete to present to the Bahamian people by the 3rd week of January 2018.
We made a commitment that this is something that we want to see in the beginning of 2018, and as best as possible, while getting it right, we got to roll it out. And if it's a little bit late, then I'll make whatever apologies need to be made.
Reporting for R News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Employees at the Water and Sewage Corporation are up in arms over the potential dismissal of 3 of their fellow workers. According to the findings of an Internal Control and Compliance Department report, 3 named employees are accused of stealing a fire hydrant. Bahamas Utility Service and Allied Workers Union President Dwayne Wood says the theft allegation is bogus and the hydrant has been accounted for.
We are asking the general manager to dismiss these alleged allegations against our members, and we appeal to the general public to bear with us while we get these matters resolved. The union will leave no stone unturned in resolving this matter, and the union contends that this is a very contentious and vexatious position. The union would also like to appeal to the stakeholders of the corporation to step in now and resolve this matter before it results in a withdrawal of the enthusiasm of our membership.
Wood says an audio recording exonerates the workers and shows that they were asked to place the fire hydrant back in storage. Asked if he was aware of the police had been called in to investigate, Woods responded.
To my knowledge, I heard that the chairman referred the matter to the police, and if it is so, I will also encourage him to do so, because if you have proof of somebody stealing, they should be behind bars. But if you don't have proof, please leave our members alone.
Still to come on our news, kids giving gifts and love to their peers this holiday season. The details are after this break.